Developing right now on Morning News Now, deals and division on Capitol Hill 6 weeks into the record-breaking federal shutdown. This morning, Congress now one step closer to reopening the government after 8 Senate Democrats broke with their party to pass a new spending bill and send it to the House.
My urgent plea of all my colleagues in the House, and that means every Democrat in the House, is to think carefully, pray, and finally do the right thing and help us to bring an end to the pain of the American people.
But we're not down with their my way or the highway approach to governance. That's failed the American people.
Meanwhile, the ongoing shutdown still causing problems at airports and food banks from coast to coast. We'll take you to Washington for the latest, plus reaction from President Trump. Also developing, parts of the U.S. snowed in this morning as an early sweeps across several states, and an early winter chill now threatening record low temperatures in dozens of cities. We are tracking it all. Plus, a significant shift that could impact millions of women. Federal officials lifting a warning label on a common treatment for symptoms of menopause. More on the decision by the FDA and what doctors want you to know. And go on, give us nothing. You heard that right. A new trend is taking over TikTok, and it's challenging young people to, well, do nothing. We'll explain why just sitting idle without your phone, TV, or even music is so hard for so many of us. It is tough.
It is. I like quiet time.
Like, not for me.
It means you have to put TikTok away, though. You can't look at it, right?
Right.
That's
but,
the irony.
Right. It's like, get on it real quick, push record, and then do nothing for 10 minutes.
Yeah. All right. We'll delve into that. Good to have you with us this morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for starting your day with us. We're going to start this morning in Washington with the beginning of the end of the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. Senators broke a 6-week stalemate last night, voting to pass a bill with limited bipartisan support that would reopen the government and keep much of it funded through at least January 30th.
8 Democrats broke with their party, joining nearly all Republicans to get to that 60-vote threshold needed to pass the bill. That's even though the bill does not include action on their key demand, which was an extension of those expiring Obamacare tax credits. Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune celebrated the deal on the Senate floor last night after the final vote.
This has been a very long road, quite literally the longest shutdown in history. I am very, very happy to be able to say that we are coming to the end.
The bill now heads to the House. Representatives have been ordered to make their way back to the Capitol and prepare to hold a vote for the first time since September 19th. And with the nation's airports still facing major delays connected to the shutdown, well, they're expected to start voting as soon as tomorrow. That means this bill could be on President Trump's desk by the end of the week. NBC News senior White House correspondent Garrett Haake is standing by with reaction from the Trump administration. First, let's get to our Capitol Hill correspondent Julie Sirkin for the latest on the bill and what appears to be the end of the shutdown. Julie, good morning. This was essentially the same bill Republicans presented Democrats with weeks ago. We know there were some amendments voted on last night. In the end, what does this final bill look like? Did Democrats get anything they wanted?
Well, that's the key question this morning, especially as progressives push back on those moderates that you showed on your screen, 8 of them who joined almost all Republicans, but Senator Rand Paul, who usually never votes for these government funding bills, to ultimately pass this in the end in the Senate. You see what it does there on your screen. Notably, you see nothing about ACA in this bill. Instead, there was a handshake agreement to give Democrats a vote on any bill to extend those expiring Affordable Care Act subsidies, any bill of their choosing, by the second week of December. That doesn't mean it's going to pass. And Speaker Johnson actually was non-committal yesterday when we pressed him on whether he would put it on the floor in the House side. Even if it did pass in the Senate, this bill would also crucially fund SNAP, the food benefit program that has been in limbo for 42 million Americans through next September. It also funds 2 other agencies for the entire year. But otherwise, it funds the government, keeps the lights on only through January, and then we'll be right back in this fight before you know it.
Not looking forward to that. I'm sure you're not either. Julie, the House has been told to get back to Washington to vote on this. Getting anywhere is tough right now, though. It's not easy because of this shutdown. How do we think that's going to go with them trying to fly back to Washington? And what is the appetite like for this bill among House Democrats?
Yeah, I probably envision some road trips in their future because the flights are going to be chaotic. Getting 435 members back anywhere is not easy, let alone in such a short time period. It's why House leaders kind of previewed this vote yesterday morning, telling them to get back in 36 hours instead of 48. This vote could happen as soon as tomorrow at around 4 p.m. is when leadership is eyeing to do it. They're going to pass the rule, which is the procedural step, sometime today. But it's still an open question whether Speaker Johnson can muscle this through. Back in September, when the House passed a continuing resolution to fund the government, it barely squeezed through. All Democrats but one voted against it. This time around, it is Senate Democrats kind of trying to point the finger at House Democrats, especially those progressives who didn't want this fight to end, telling them to hold firm, hold strong. We know Hakeem Jeffries in the House is in a different position than Leader Schumer, who, of course, didn't vote for this bill but is still being criticized for it. And so this is going to be an uphill battle, a heavy lift for Speaker Johnson. He can only lose 2 votes, almost guaranteed to lose Thomas Massey of Kentucky already. Marjorie Taylor Greene unhappy about those expiring ACA subsidies. So it's going to come down to the wire.
It's worth noting, Julie, none of the 8 Democrats who voted for this funding bill is up for re-election in 2026, so they're not going to face voters anytime soon. But what about the rest of the Democrats? How are they handling some of the pointed questions from journalists asking if Democrats caved here?
Yeah, well, so those 8 moderates, and by the way, I should note that the lead negotiator is actually retiring, Jeanne Shaheen, so she's not going to have to worry about any of this. But she was the author of the bill 5 years ago to extend these subsidies to this year. And so this was really important for her healthcare fight, absolutely. But it is those progressives that are pointing the finger. They're unhappy, perhaps, with how Leader Schumer handled this. He wasn't able to keep his party together, though no calls to oust him just yet from the Senate. But certainly House progressives are frustrated and are pointing the finger. I want you to take a listen to a little bit of what we heard from Senator Bernie Sanders, who certainly did not want to give up the fight.
That vote last night paves the way for 15 million people to be thrown off Medicaid. What are they going to do? It is really problematic that 8 out of 37 people in the Democratic caucus, that 8 people made that decision. And we need leadership which says that, you know what, it's going to be made by 37 people, not 8 people.
So to be very clear, Democrats got no new assurances on the Affordable Care Act. Leader Thune has been telling them all this time for the last 41 days that the government's been shut down. Give them a vote on those subsidies. He can't guarantee the outcome. That is the exact place we find ourselves in today. In 2026, Americans who are on the Affordable Care Act will see their premiums spike unless Congress can do something to fix it. Leader Thune saying there is bipartisan interest in getting that done, though. And
we're hearing stories from several people who are saying they're not going to be able to afford their insurance now moving forward in this new year. Julie Sirkin, appreciate your reporting. Thank you so much.
Let's now bring in NBC News senior White House correspondent Garrett. Hey, Garrett, good morning. So let's start there. As far as we know, does the president intend to sign this bill if it lands on his desk? What is he saying about it?
It looks that way, Savannah. The president spoke favorably of the bill. He said, as it has been described to him yesterday, he was not fully committal on signing a bill that is not a finished product. To Julie's point, we have to see what, if anything, the House does with this if they're able to pass it. The president did speak favorably about it, though, and suggests he will abide by the terms in there, particularly about restoring people who lost their jobs during the shutdown, which I think is a key point of concern among some Democrats.
Let's turn to the chaos at the airports, which has not gone away. President Trump has doubled down on his criticism of air traffic controllers who have not reported to work during the government shutdown. Those workers required to work, even though they're not getting paid because they're classified as essential government workers. He was on Fox News last night, was asked about those workers. So what are we learning? And if the bill does cross the finish line, any sense if and when they might get things back to normal for air travel?
Yeah, Joe, I think there was some cable news-fueled grievance here from the president reflected back at a cable news audience last night. We know it'll take some time, both for this bill to get passed and signed by the president, and then for the air traffic control system to ramp all the way back up to full speed after they've been throttling things down over the last couple of days. The president continuing to vent that frustration last night. I'll share what he said and the problems with his policy proposal here after you listen.
We have a lot of people want the job. What I was not happy when I saw all these people, oh, we have to, look, life is not so easy for anybody. Our country's never done better. We should not have had people leaving their jobs. And what I basically did is say the ones that stayed, of which there were a lot of them, I'm sending them a $10,000 bonus.
Where's that money coming from?
I don't know. I'll get it from someplace. I'll get it from, I always get the money from someplace regardless. It doesn't matter.
So 2 problems with that statement, guys. The first is the idea that everybody wants those air traffic control jobs. Air traffic control has been operating at a shortage for years. They cannot hire enough qualified people to do those jobs, which makes these shortages so acute. The second is fairly obvious. The president's, a lack of concern about where he would get the money to offer those $10,000 bonuses. There is not a presidential HR slush fund available to throw bonuses around the federal government. Coming up with that cash, especially with the government lurching back on, if you will, in the coming days, I think will be much more difficult than he seems to suggest in that interview.
Garrett, one more topic we want to cover with you. Ghislaine Maxwell's alleged efforts now to seek a commutation of her 20-year sentence from President Trump. Our viewers probably remember she's the co-conspirator of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. This is according to a whistleblower who came forward to House Democrats. What do we know about this? Are we hearing from Maxwell's attorney at all?
Yeah, look, none of this should really be all that surprising. Maxwell had pursued an appeal all the way to the Supreme Court, which rejected her entreaties to try to get out of prison. She's obviously been moved to this lower security prison in Texas recently after cooperating with the Trump administration's efforts to interview her about Epstein's case. We learned from this whistleblower who spoke with Democrats on the House Oversight Committee that she's in the process of preparing a commutation ask, essentially, for the Trump administration. The president has been non-committal on this when he's been asked in the past, but given the spate of politically charged pardons he's done in recent weeks, I think it's something we should watch closely.
Garrett, while we have you, we should note today is November 11th, Veterans Day. Our thanks to all the veterans out there who served our country. President Trump is going to head to Arlington National Cemetery to commemorate the day. What more should we know about that?
Yeah, I'll echo that. Thanks. This is a fairly traditional stop for the president today. He'll be at Arlington to lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, give some remarks there today. It is the only thing on his public calendar this Veterans Day, Joe.
All right. Well, the federal government may soon be opening back up, which means the legal fight over SNAP benefits could soon be nearing its conclusion. The food aid program has been surrounded by a flurry of legal action after the shutdown impacted its distribution for weeks.
Lower courts have ruled that the government must keep these funds flowing to beneficiaries, but the Trump administration asked the Supreme Court Monday to keep them frozen for now as the shutdown continues.
NBC News senior Supreme Court reporter Lawrence Hurley joins us now with more. Lawrence, good morning. Good to have you. So the House is set to vote on legislation on Wednesday that would fully fund SNAP. But for now, this is still going forward. What is the Trump administration's argument for withholding the benefits, and what happens if the government does reopen?
Yeah, so it's all pending at the Supreme Court right now. The Trump administration is asking the court to allow them to not kind of delve into a separate pot of money, if you like, to fund SNAP, because they say a lower court judge, has no authority to order the president to do that. That's despite the fact that the current administration likes to sort of move money around quite a lot, as you heard just earlier when President Trump said he was going to offer this money to air traffic controllers, and he was asked where it's going to come from. So, the court, though, may not have to rule on this now, because if the government opens up again, and you also heard earlier that the SNAP program is going to be fully funded, so there might not be any need for the court to rule, because, the case basically becomes moot. So today there might be some court action. The court might have to extend a kind of temporary pause on the lower court ruling, but it may do a definitive decision one way or the other.
Lawrence, some other news. The Supreme Court, the justices turned away that long-shot attempt to try and overturn the 2015 Obergefell ruling on same-sex marriage Monday. Who brought this case? Was there legitimate concern that this was a threat to that landmark LGBTQ plus case?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of talk about this case. I think it was always kind of a long shot. And it was brought by this county clerk in Kentucky called Kim Davis, who, was in the headlines right after the Obergefell ruling in 2015, when she refused to issue same-sex couples' marriage licenses. And she ended up getting into trouble over that and ended up filing a lawsuit claiming, oh, actually, she was sued herself by a same-sex couple, and this case has kind of gone on for almost a decade, where she's been trying to fight off this lawsuit. And so she kind of appealed that ruling where she lost below in lower courts, but kind of added in this question of like, well, also the court might want to overturn Obergefell entirely, which is not really the issue in her case at all, because it was more about her being accused of violating the civil rights of the gay couple. So it never seemed like the court was likely to take this up, and it didn't. And there was no comment from the court. There were no dissents. No one saying we should take this up. So, it was all kind of a fuss over nothing.
Lawrence, also yesterday, the Supreme Court agreed to weigh over mail-in ballots. What's the issue here? What's it mean for the future of elections?
Well, this is a big elections case. Obviously, if the court rules quickly, it could be done in time for the midterms next year. It's an issue about whether states can count ballots that arrive after Election Day, like mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day, as long as they're postmarked before or on Election Day. This is an issue that's come up quite a bit. President Trump obviously has been very critical of mail-in ballots and the idea that, somehow there's something nefarious about votes being counted after Election Day. A lot of states have these laws that allow the votes to be counted after Election Day, including various Republican states, including Mississippi, which is the case, the state in this case. So this case has huge repercussions, although it may be, a long shot for some of the Republicans who are hoping the court's going to pull this back.
All right, Lawrence, thank you very much.
NBC News has exclusive reporting this morning about an Army gynecologist who's accused of secretly recording his patients during intimate exams. One of his patients filed a lawsuit that alleges the doctor's misconduct goes back years. NBC News senior national security correspondent Courtney Kuby spoke with the woman behind the lawsuit.
When Jane Doe first met Army doctor Blaine McGraw, she says she was hopeful he'd be able to help her with her pelvic pain and hormone irregularities.
I remember leaving my appointment excited that I had a doctor that finally listened to me.
She had several appointments with him spanning a year. But a few weeks ago, she got a call from Army criminal investigators.
They said, we're going to show you a picture from a video that was taken. Can you please identify this person? Let me know how you know them. And it was a picture of myself.
She says they told her Dr. McGraw had secretly recorded her recent breast and pelvic exams. She believes he slipped his phone into his pocket to film her.
When was the moment that it sort of hit you what had actually happened here to you?
Probably about 5 minutes later when I got in my car and I was by myself. And I just sat there and I just started crying. And I drove home for an hour and I just cried the entire way home.
NBC News is not identifying Jane to protect her privacy. She filed a lawsuit against McGraw alleging she is one of dozens of patients he preyed upon. The lawsuit alleges the Army gave cover to a predator in uniform by allowing him to keep seeing patients despite sexual misconduct claims dating back years, including unchaperoned exams, inappropriate comments, and unnecessary touching.
An Army official says the hospital here has sent notification letters to more than 1,000 of Dr. McGraw's patients. And while that doesn't necessarily mean they were victims, a military official says Army investigators have already interviewed at least 25 women who they suspect being recorded by Dr. McGraw.
Andrew Kobos is Jane Doe's lawyer.
How many potential victims have reached out to you?
We've fielded well over 60 victim phone calls.
In a statement, Dr. McGraw's attorney says he has been fully cooperative and says there's been inaccurate information from government sources. The Army says he was immediately suspended and is under criminal investigation. Jane's husband, who's served more than 2 decades in uniform, says his whole family has been betrayed.
I mean, it's a brother or sister in arms, right? Never in my mind would I have thought a medical provider, especially an OBGYN, would take advantage of both the position as well as the profession.
What do you want to say to Army leadership right now who may have known about this?
Shame on you. Shame on you for letting this happen. Shame on you for not taking action. Shame on you for letting this predator continue to practice.
Courtney Kuby, NBC News, Fort Hood, Texas.
Well, this morning, millions of us are waking up and dealing with an early blast of winter weather that's making its way across the country. The storm system dumped nearly a foot of snow on parts of Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin, which caused dangerous driving conditions. Like in Chicago, look at this. This car became engulfed in flames after it slid off the highway. There were more than 100 weather-related accidents reported throughout the region yesterday. And it wasn't just the Midwest. The Arctic blast sent temperatures plummeting in the deep south. Parts of Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia are all getting a first dusting of snow, and that is where we find NBC News national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist. He's in Atlanta. He joins us with the latest. Ooh, I see that beanie. You're bundled. Aaron, how is it this morning?
Listen, we're doing the little shimmy, trying to stay warm standing out here, right? It's just something we were not ready for here in the South Savannah, this cold air that's drifted into this area. We knew that it was starting to look a lot like Christmas. Feel like it here where we are in Atlanta, too. We have our trusty thermometer here that we've been referring to all morning. We're at about 27, 28 degrees right now here in Atlanta. The wind chill is closer to 22 degrees here. It's colder here in Atlanta than it is there in New York right now. We can tell you, though, that this is not the only area that's been dealing with this Arctic blast, this little chip off the polar vortex that's dipped down into the United States. We talked about the Midwest, where they've seen those lake effect snows. There are some places in the Midwest that have gotten upwards of a foot of snow with this winter blast that's coming through. You talk about some of the accidents that we've been seeing as a result of snowy, icy conditions in some places. We know in Indiana there were some major accidents on some treacherous roadways there, upwards of 100 accidents, 18 people hurt in some of those collisions in that area. And then this whole wintry blast drifted south and east. We know we've seen snow, obviously, in Tennessee. We've seen snow in North Carolina. Even here in Atlanta yesterday afternoon, we had a few flurries come down in this area. The cold air, the snow also hitting areas in western New York. Not quite as cold in New York City, as we said, as it is here right now. The reality for a lot of folks here is trying to figure out how to deal with this cold so early in the season. We stopped by the Atlanta Zoo yesterday, and we saw that they actually have some of the goats there wearing these little coats, and they're bespoke coats, actually. They have them tailor-made for the goats that have to wear them just to try to keep the animals warm this time of year. And so everybody's trying to make the adjustments as they can, Savannah, to deal with the weather. The silver lining here, or the flannel lining, if you will, is that the temperatures are going to make a turnaround. We'll start to see things warming up a little bit this afternoon, and by Friday, we expect to be back above 70 degrees in this area, Savannah.
I like how you called them bespoke coats. It's like you made that as fancy as you could. I love it. Aaron, stay warm. Thank you.
With that in mind, let's talk about the flannel lining, because you might want to grab your winter jacket before heading out this morning.
Now let's get the latest on these record low temperatures across the South with meteorologist Rafael Miranda. Rafael, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Good morning, Joe. Yeah, we're going to continue the animal theme right now. We have the goats and coats. Now we're talking about falling iguanas. And this is a real thing. When you get the cold extending all the way down to the deep south into Florida, the iguanas can fall from the trees. So this is a real watch in effect because temperatures are going to be in the 40s and 30s this morning from Tampa down to Miami. So something we're watching there. Yeah, this is a polar plunge all the way to the Gulf Coast. Right now, many dozens of records in jeopardy. These are low temperature records, places like Tallahassee, 29 degrees, Orlando, 37. You've already broken the record for the coldest morning on this date. And you can see the chill lingers into the afternoon as well. Temperatures trending about 20 degrees below average in places like Savannah. Out west, though, the heat starts to build, and then this whole pattern starts to moderate as we head towards the next several days. So into the weekend, yes, feeling much better in places like Virginia and also down towards Charlotte, back into the 70s over the next several days. It's the coldest morning for millions across the Northeast. The hats, gloves, and scarves needed from New York City, where we've been flirting with freezing. We had some flurries here in the Big Apple. Of course, this is our first time this season so far. From Boston all the way down towards Raleigh, a very chilly morning. And you can see the lake effect snow, that'll continue for the next couple of days with this cold air riding over the warm lakes. Travel could be tricky. Watch out for some rain mixing in as well. Slick travel conditions upstate New York. Several inches of additional lake effect snow a possibility as we head through tomorrow. And we are looking at All of this to impact the Northeast today. Definitely want to bundle up. Also, we have a storm out west bringing some rain and snow to the Pacific Northwest and California as well. So very active, very wintry feel out there today.
It's fun to see the pictures of snow around the country. I'm a little jealous.
There's the reality of it, too.
Right, there's that, too. I can watch it, but don't have to shovel it.
Exactly.
This morning, I was like, has it ever been colder? Because we're not used to it.
Exactly. We're out of practice.
So cold. Oh, my gosh.
Thanks,
Thank you so much. See you in an hour.
Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, lifting the label. The FDA no longer requiring warnings on a common form of menopause treatment. How the decision could impact millions of women.
But up first, an aid mission turns to tragedy. The investigation underway after a deadly plane crash in South Florida. We'll be right back. Welcome back. An investigation is underway in South Florida after a small plane crashed shortly after takeoff into a pond near a neighborhood. Officials say the plane was headed to Jamaica with aid and supplies to help with Hurricane Melissa recovery. No homes were hit, but the 2 people on board were killed. NBC News correspondent George Solis has more from the scene.
Dramatic video capturing the moment a small plane went down in South Florida, crashing into a neighborhood lake shortly after takeoff. Another angle of security camera footage showing the plane plunging into the water, barely missing nearby homes.
It sounded to me like 2 race cars smashing into each other.
From the ground, you can see just how close those houses are to where the plane hit. Police tape is still all around this neighborhood. Right now, investigators still surveying the site where it's believed the plane crashed. There is still debris in the water. Officials say 2 people in the plane were killed. Incredibly, no one on the ground was injured.
Fortunately, the plane did not strike any houses when it entered the water.
Officials say the plane was headed from Fort Lauderdale to Montego Bay, Jamaica, to deliver supplies for Hurricane Melissa relief efforts. Neighbor Zane Smith was nearby when the crash happened and saw the plane clip a tree before crashing into the lake.
Honestly, just shooken up, because that could be anyone's family. We don't know who it is. I feel bad. That could have even been us,
Many commenting on how close the homes are here and how lucky it was that this plane didn't hit any of them. The FAA and NTSB are investigating the crash. Back to you.
George, thank you.
President Trump is threatening to sue Britain's public broadcaster for $1 billion. He's demanding the British Broadcasting Corporation, better known as the BBC, retract what he says is a falsely edited clip of his speech on the day of the January 6th Capitol insurrection. It comes after 2 top executives resigned on Sunday. News International correspondent Raf Sanchez has more.
President Trump threatening a $1 billion lawsuit against the BBC, accusing the British public broadcaster of intentionally and deceitfully editing his speech from January 6th in a documentary that aired just ahead of the 2024 election. Here's what the documentary showed.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
And here's the original, starting off the same.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
But the next part of the speech was actually almost an hour later.
And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
In a letter to the BBC obtained by NBC News, the president's legal team demanding you immediately retract the false, defamatory, disparaging, and inflammatory statements made about President Trump. The BBC's chairman, Samir Shah, apologizing.
The apologizing is for the way the team edited President Trump's speech to his supporters on January the 6th.
And acknowledging the edit made it seem the president made a direct call for violence.
Can the president sue a British broadcaster in a U.S. court?
A foreign corporation and a foreign broadcaster can be sued in the United States so long as there's enough of a connection. The fact that the BBC is broadcast in the U.S. is enough.
Do you think the president has a case?
The president does seem to have a case, and a lot of that is based on admissions that were made by the BBC. They admitted that the edit did look as if it were a call to violence.
The misleading edit was one of a number of issues raised in a leaked internal BBC report. Concerns were also raised about the corporation's coverage of the war in Gaza and its coverage of trans rights issues. The BBC's Director General, Tim Davie, resigning, citing the edit as one of the reasons. Also resigning, Deborah Turnus, the chief executive of the news division, who also served as president of NBC News from 2013 to 2017.
I stepped down over the weekend because the buck stops with me. But I'd like to make one thing very clear. BBC News is not institutionally biased.
President Trump cheering the resignations on Truth Social, saying these are very dishonest people who tried to step on the scales of a presidential election. Mr. Trump has wielded the threat of lawsuits against media outlets in a way unprecedented in American history, successfully forcing multi-million-dollar settlements from both ABC News and CBS News. But this is the first time he's moved so aggressively against a foreign broadcaster. British conservatives have long accused the broadcaster of using public money to promote a liberal worldview, an allegation the BBC denies.
The BBC has been institutionally biased for decades. The licence fee, as currently is, cannot survive.
And here at BBC headquarters, there's a sense that this isn't over. President Trump has given the BBC until Friday to respond to his legal letter. And there is a big debate here about whether to keep the license fee, which is basically a $200 a year tax on everyone in the UK who owns a television, which is used to fund the BBC's operations.
All right, Raf, thank you.
Well, more international news now. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with U.S. officials about the next stages of the ceasefire in Gaza.
NBC News international correspondent Danielle Hamamdjian joins us with our world news in 60 seconds. Danielle, good morning.
Morning, guys. There are now 4 dead hostages left in Gaza, which means we're getting closer to the end of the first phase of that ceasefire deal. The president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, recently met with the Israeli Prime Minister in Jerusalem to discuss the next stages. What should come next is the deployment of an international security force, the disarmament of Hamas, and a post-war governing structure, and none of those details have been worked out. Over to Taiwan now, where a tropical storm could hit on Thursday. Typhoon Fangwang made landfall in the Philippines just a couple of days ago, causing landslides and flash floods and killing at least 18 people. Once the typhoon made its way to the South China Sea, it weakened into a tropical storm. And finally, to Australia. And take a look at what's been named the Lucifer. While observing a rare wildflower, researchers discovered a new kind of bee. It does have prominent horns, but the real reason behind the name, the lead scientist said that at the time she was watching the show Lucifer on Netflix. Quite the scientific method there. You guys, back to you.
As if you need to make bees more scary.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Thank you. Well, coming up, a worrisome trend in the workplace. More employees learning they've been laid off by automated messages.
When we come back in our weekly mental health check-in, a look at the rise in automated layoffs, the impact that could have on your mental health. Morning News Now will be right back.
Welcome back. There are big changes coming for women dealing with menopause and perimenopause and thinking about using hormone replacement therapy to treat their symptoms. The FDA has announced that it will now remove black box warning labels, they're called, for some hormone replacement therapy treatments.
The warning labels mention risks of breast cancer, cardiovascular disease, and stroke. So why the shift after more than 20 years?
We've got Dr. Natalie Azar here in studio to explain it to us. Dr. Azar, always great to have you with us. Good morning. So, for decades, these warning labels, serious stuff, like Joe just said, the potential for breast cancer, heart attack, stroke, cognitive decline.
Right.
So what was it that was enough to put it on the box and now take it off?
Okay, so I think just for everyone to understand the context where we are right now. So about 20 years ago, there was this study that was called the Women's Health Initiative. In that study, the average age of women in that study was 63 years old. Okay. What they found was that those women who received hormone replacement therapy in the form of pills of estrogen as well as a pretty strong dose of progesterone, there appeared to be an increased risk of breast cancer, heart disease, blood clot, stroke, and that hit the media and made the news, and suddenly thousands, if not millions, of women were no longer interested in hormone replacement therapy. Doctors were afraid to prescribe it. Fast forward to where we are today with a reanalysis of that data, as well as new information that we have now.
Okay.
Now we understand that probably those risks not only were exaggerated or overblown, but most importantly, again, in the context of who the women were who were being studied. These were older women who weren't necessarily selected for or against those particular risks. At the moment, if the recommendations now in order to take hormone replacement therapy or be a candidate for it, really important is to be within 10 years of your menopause or under the age of 60. In that scenario, with that demographic of a female, the risk is, the benefit is thought to far outweigh the potential risk.
Interesting.
I know there are still some risks with HRT, and there will be some warnings inside the packaging.
Right.
So who should be more concerned and then who shouldn't be?
Right. So I think for the people who you sort of are going to say, okay, the warnings I still need to take seriously are people who have had or at significant risk for heart disease, who have had or at significant risk for having blood clots, unexplained vaginal bleeding, severe liver disease, and potentially also what we call hormone-sensitive cancers, i.e. hormone-positive breast or uterine cancers. Another sort of nuanced point to this was that back in the day, 20 years ago, women were given pills. Pills are associated with a much higher risk of those things as opposed to what we call transdermal or preparations that go through the skin. And perhaps most importantly, something that literally everyone can get on board with is that the black box labeling should never at this point have applied to vaginal estrogen, which is so important to treat what's called the genitourinary syndrome of menopause, including dryness, painful intercourse, recurrent UTIs, very, very serious. Local preparations of estrogen are safe for everybody.
If we could take a step back on 2 points. First, just like explain what this is, why hormone replacement is something that can help, and then what it's helping with the symptoms of menopause.
Okay, so I think you would ask most experts, and they will say that, by the way, I think the terms are shifting now to call it menopause hormonal treatment, but we still use HRT all the time. The most effective symptoms that it will treat are what we call the vasomotor symptoms of menopause. That includes hot flashes and night sweats. But all the other things, mood swings and stuff like that, very, very important. One of the biggest benefits of continuing on some sort of hormone treatment after menopause, meaning continuing on, you know, you lose your estrogen in menopause, and is the prevention of osteoporosis and bone fractures. So that's one of the huge, huge things. Before we can safely say, like, it will prevent heart disease, it will definitely prevent dementia. Those were a lot of things that were talked about in the press conference yesterday. There's not that much robust evidence yet that doing hormone replacement therapy will prevent those long-term outcomes, but it's being studied, and it's certainly important.
Quickly, why do you think it took so long to make this change?
Things happen really slowly, Joe. Bureaucratically, changing something this significant takes time. And I do give the administration credit for getting this to the finish line, because I know it's something that, again, a lot of menopause experts over the last number of years, especially for the vaginal preparation, have been hoping for. Because at least now, even though it's black box, doctors have always been able to prescribe it, but I think they will feel much more comfortable having conversations with their patients, and patients will feel more comfortable having conversations with their doctors about it.
And quickly, what is the bottom line on who that is that should potentially be asking their doctor about this?
So these are women who are either perimenopausal, so it's possible to do menopause hormone therapy before your menopause, or in the menopause transition. Average age of menopause is, again, around 52 years old. Within the first 10 years after your last period and before to the age of 60 for the average woman who's not at high risk for hormone therapy. Those are the kinds of people we're talking about who should be having this conversation with their docs.
Fascinating and important. Dr. Azar, thank you so much.
Time now for your weekly mental health check-in. This week we're looking at the rise of automated job layoffs and the extra mental health toll it can take on workers.
Plus, how a new trend on social media has young people filming themselves doing nothing, and whether there might be benefits to the boredom.
Joining us now for more of these mental health headlines is Dr. Robbie Ludwig. She's a psychotherapist and the host of the Pivot with Robbie Ludwig podcast. Good to have you with us, Dr. Robbie. So let's start. We've seen these recent waves of layoffs across major tech companies, including Amazon. And in some cases, staff, they've been alerted by automated messages. Obviously, I mean, Any layoff is tough, creates a lot of emotions, a lot of anger. But talk about why these impersonal layoffs have such a strong impact on employees' mental health. And is there a lesson in this for company leaders to maybe handle something so difficult with more thoughtfulness?
Absolutely. So nobody wants to feel like a number. And it's almost like equivalent to ghosting. So when you don't treat a person with dignity, you don't explain face to face why you're moving in a different direction, it can have severe mental health impacts on the person being fired. It's an ego assault. They can be more depressed. They can be more anxious. And it also affects the people who continue to work at the job, feeling like, should I even invest in this company if I'm just going to get fired and be treated like I don't matter in the first place? So it's really important not to go with this trend and to really shift our corporate culture so we treat people with dignity, that the dignity they deserve.
Next, Doctor, we're seeing this new trend on TikTok. It's people filming themselves, and limiting themselves to doing nothing, posting these sped up videos on TikTok of them just sort of like sitting and chilling without computers or music or anything like that. What's your take on this? Could it be a sign like that we're all overstimulated? It's, I think, as Joe pointed out earlier, almost a little ironic that it's being shared in a place like TikTok, which is exactly what you're not doing when you're filming these videos. But what's going on here?
I actually love this TikTok trend because boredom is really important. It's first of all good for destimulation, just to clear your mind. It's also where creativity exists. When we give ourselves space to be bored, we can fantasize, we can come up with ideas, we can problem solve. So it's really great in terms of that. It helps us gain insight into ourselves and understand ourselves better. And it's really important in terms of tolerating frustration, which is also really important for us. So it's a great trend. I hope people continue it. It's not the boredom itself, but it's what you do with the boredom that is so important.
The next step is to do it without recording yourself. See if that helps.
Then there's that, of course.
All right. Finally, it's the time of the year where obviously we notice it's getting darker earlier. You're leaving work and it's dark, and that gets people feeling a little gloomy. So what can you do to feel more positive?
Well, that is true. We all are affected. It's called seasonal affective disorder. Even if it's not a disorder, we all relate to the darkness with a little bit of meh. So what people recommend is getting out in the sunlight when you can. Take a walk during the day. Make sure that you are using the sunlight you have access to in order to counterbalance some of those darker moods that happen during the winter.
All right, Dr. Robbie, good to have you with us. Thank you so much. Coming up, artificial intelligence causing problems in the real world.
One thing I believe is that the temptation to use AI is so strong that people just can't resist it.
When we come back, how the technology is getting some people in legal trouble for what's now being called AI hallucinations. You're watching Morning News Now.
Welcome back. As the use of AI becomes more widespread, it's creating opportunities and also challenges in all walks of life. For example, 2 Minnesota attorneys recently joined the growing list of lawyers who've been caught citing fake cases generated by AI in real legal documents. These attorneys used AI to draft the filings, but admittedly never checked to see if the case citations were real. These are called AI hallucinations, information created by the program that can look real enough to fool the user. Lou Ragoose from KARE 11 in Minnesota has more.
In a recent court filing in Hennepin County Court, attorney Frederick Knack wrote that prior Minnesota cases support his argument, citing a 1992 case called State by Sundquist versus Provost. The problem? That case doesn't exist. Neither did the other case Knack cited right before it or another case cited later. When Judge Lori Miller caught it, she wrote, "The court wonders if this citation may be the result of an AI-generated hallucination."
It's something that created to give you a convincing answer of what you asked for, but it's not necessarily an accurate answer.
David Larson is a law professor at Mitchell Hamlin, teaching a course next semester on artificial intelligence and the law.
Is this happening everywhere?
I think it's fair to say it's happening everywhere. One thing I believe is that the temptation to use AI is so strong that people just can't resist it.
According to a database tracking AI hallucinations in court filings, there are 134 cases across the country in which an attorney cited fabricated case law. KARE 11 News found one other case in Minnesota in July when Judge Christian Sandy caught attorney David Lutz citing a phony case. Lutz confessed, admitting he used AI and forgot to cross-reference the cases. Judge Sandy fined Lutz $5,000 and referred him to the state board for possible discipline. In Connect's case, like Lutz's, he told the judge, quote, "I was relying on the tool for efficiency, not for deception. This has mortified me beyond belief."
Our thanks to Lou Raguse from KARE 11 in Minneapolis for that story.
Well, an American who was the first person to cross Antarctica 7 years ago has returned there for an even tougher challenge. NBC News correspondent Chloe Malas spoke to Colin O'Brady about the roughly 110-day journey he faces.
Made it to Antarctica.
American explorer Colin O'Brady on the ground in Antarctica.
You know, it's pretty bare bones and gorgeous.
Making final preparations to do something he says no human has ever done. Crossing the entire continent from ice shelf to ice shelf, solo and unsupported.
I'm really curious if I can go back and push myself not just farther in distance than I went last time, but actually sort of in a spiritual context, mind, body, soul. To me, there's no better proving ground for that than Antarctica.
Here I go.
In 2018, the 40-year-old became the first person to cross Antarctica minus the ice shelves without the aid of a snow kite.
Oh my God. This is harder than I ever dreamed possible.
His new route is about twice as long, 1,800 miles, or roughly the same distance from New York City to Boulder, Colorado. And he'll face up to 60-mile-per-hour winds and negative 30-degree temperatures.
When I basically pass the 900th mile, and every step that I take beyond that is actually farther than anybody has ever gone solo, unsupported, and human in Antarctica.
O'Brady will haul a 500-pound sled packed with everything he needs, food, fuel, and just one pair of clothes.
Only one pair of underwear that I'm putting on at the beginning, and they'll still be on my body, you know, come to the other side of the continent. It's not pretty out there. It's like standing inside the belly of the ping pong ball, just like white in every single direction, so disorienting.
This is O'Brady's 6th time in Antarctica.
I almost died. I almost died.
During his last trip, a fall into a crevasse had near fatal consequences.
Please answer. Please answer. Please answer.
So I do have a satellite phone for emergencies that I can call. That said, it's not like calling an Uber. As we know, the stakes are real. You know, it's say, hey, if you're in that bad a shape and the storm doesn't clear, you know, we might be coming there to pick up your body.
Are you scared?
You know, fear is not the top of my mind's eye. You know, people love to say, like, Colin, are you afraid of dying? And, you know, in short, yes, I'm definitely afraid of dying. But when I really put my head on the pillow at night, what I'm more afraid of is not fully living.
But danger's old hat for O'Brady. Almost 2 decades ago, a bad accident in Thailand burned nearly a quarter of his body.
I wouldn't wish the burn accident, you know, my worst enemy. That said, recovering from it gave me so much strength.
Oh my God.
You know, when I'm out there in the middle of Antarctica and the storms are raging, I still have this place I can go to my mind, and it's like, yeah, but you're on your feet, you're walking, you're moving. You know, it could be a lot worse.
He'll be filming his journey for an upcoming Netflix documentary.
They'll fly to the edge of the ice and, you know, film me being dropped off, but they don't stay out there on the ice. As the plane takes off, I'm out there alone.
For roughly 110 days, Colin O'Brady will battle the coldest, windiest place on Earth, chasing not just a record, but the farthest reaches of what's possible.
It's like the full human emotion all wrapped up in one, to be there alone in the vulnerability and surviving in such a wild and extreme place.
Chloe Malas, NBC News.
And you're joining him, right? You've decided?
I just spent that entire story having like a fit over how, why, what.
I profiled him after his adventures 7 years ago, and he's an inspiring guy. He's a brave guy.
It is inspiring. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
We are so built.
Good luck, Colin.
Yeah, there you go. Coming up on Morning News Now, from competition to camaraderie, a college football rivalry set aside for a family in need.
My heart got happy and just seeing all the support from the fans. And when we're in the stands, people were just giving us hugs and telling us we're praying for you.
We come back to touching tribute on the field by 2 opposing fan bases. You're watching Morning News Now. We end this hour with a rare moment of unity in college football over the weekend when opposing fan bases were rooting for more than just their own team.
Yeah, BYU went into their weekend matchup against Texas Tech as one of the top teams in the nation. But off the field, fans on both sides stepped up to help a family in need. NBC News correspondent Ryan Chandler has the story.
When BYU fans descended on Texas Tech Saturday, they brought more than just their cheers. BYU! They brought a wave of support for Ivan Ortiz, the barber for the rival team. Ivan's wife, Maddie, has spent most of the last month in the hospital after he says she was nearly killed by a drunk driver.
I mean, this past 3 weeks has been super tough.
For BYU, competition quickly turned to camaraderie, and the college football world came to Maddie and Ivan's side, contributing to the more than $180,000 donated. Some writing, Cougar Nation is behind you. Football is fun, but family is forever.
This is bigger than football. This is about loving the people that are around you and loving your community.
Kim and David Marsh are proud BYU alumni living in Lubbock.
The motto of the school is enter to learn, go forth to serve. And we look around at our communities and we say, okay, what can we do to help?
Ivan and his family watched the Red Raiders earn another win Saturday, with fans on both sides rooting for him and Maddie.
My heart got happy and just seeing all the support from the fans. And when we're in the stands, people were just giving us hugs and telling us we're praying for you.
Putting aside the rivalry or the stakes of the game, this was so much bigger than football.
Oh, 100%. This was, at the end of the game, I felt like Maddie was the winner.
Ryan Chandler, NBC News.
A good note to end this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for starting your Tuesday with us. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, the end is near. After weeks of stalled negotiations on Capitol Hill, the federal government is one step closer to reopening. Last night, Senate lawmakers finally giving the green light to legislation that'll fund Washington until the end of January, but it's not a done deal quite yet. So what exactly comes next? And when could air travelers see smoother skies amid this airport staffing crisis? Also this morning, a positively frigid fall freeze, bringing an early taste of winter to millions. In the snow-covered Midwest, Mother Nature doling out some dangerous road conditions across several states. Well, in the South, bone-chilling temps are expected today. We're covering it all as you head out the door. Plus, some worrying health news from our neighbors to the north. Canada losing its measles-free status this week after clocking its worst outbreak of the virus in decades. So with our vaccination rates still on the decline, could America be next? We'll take a closer look at the spread. And later in the hour, why one of President Trump's latest tariff pushes could soon have you saying arrivederci to some of your favorite Italian pasta brands. We were just discussing this yesterday. You might not get your pasta from Italy anymore.
Along with your kitchen cabinets, all the specific items.
We'll dig into that in a little bit. Let's begin this hour with the federal government now one step closer to reopening after 42 days. Last night, 8 Senate Democrats crossed the aisle, voting with nearly all Republicans to pass a bill that would provide enough funding through the end of January.
It now heads to the House for a vote with President Trump's endorsement as representatives now race to get back to Washington with the goal of ending the shutdown as soon as tomorrow night. NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles has the latest from Washington. Ryan, good morning.
Good morning. This did not come easy, but Congress appears on the way to settling the longest shutdown in American history. The Senate passed the bill overnight, but not without a last-ditch plea from progressive Democrats who continue to worry about what comes next for health care.
After a nearly 6-week stalemate on Capitol Hill, the staring contest between Republicans and Democrats is almost over.
The bill as amended is passed.
The Senate passing a measure overnight to reopen the government and provide full funding through the end of January. The measure now goes to the House, which is scrambling back members who haven't been in Washington since the end of September. The bill receiving an endorsement from President Trump.
We're going to be opening up our country.
Its passage in the Senate was not easy, skating by with the 60 votes necessary. Most Democrats voting no, angry their party didn't fight for more on health care, warning premiums are set to go up.
Look, I think it was a terrible, terrible vote.
at a time when we have a broken healthcare system.
Now, some blaming Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and a group of House members calling for him to step down, and President Trump taking a victory lap.
He thought he could break the Republicans, and the Republicans broke him.
Schumer blaming the GOP.
Republicans had their chance to fix this, and they blew it.
And the moderates who brokered the deal arguing it was the best option. Was it worth it?
We crystallized the fight about health care for the American people.
But the House Republican leader not making any promises on a future health care vote.
I'm not committing to it or not committing to it. What I'm saying is that we do a deliberative process.
The end of the shutdown means relief for millions of Americans. Federal workers will soon get back pay, and those laid off during the shutdown will get their jobs back. SNAP benefit recipients will eventually get their funding back after weeks of receiving a fraction of what they're entitled to. The House is expected to vote on the bill tomorrow, and leadership is confident the votes will be there to pass the measure. But House Democrats are encouraging their members to vote no, and Republicans can only afford to lose 2 votes. If it passes, it could be signed as early as tomorrow night by President Trump, who has indicated that he will do so. As for those Obamacare subsidies, Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune promised to vote on it by the second week of December, but it's not clear that it has the support to pass both GOP-controlled chambers of Congress.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much. Well, while the government shutdown may actually mean that we are nearing an end here to these flight chaoses that we've been seeing across the airport, across the country, it's expected to be another day of travel headaches at airports. The FAA is canceling even more flights, up to 6% from 4%, because of those staffing shortages caused by the shutdown. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello has the latest from Reagan National Airport.
Hey, Savannah and Joel, listen to these numbers. We had 2,400 flight cancellations nationwide yesterday. We're already at about 1,500, and that number is expected to grow. The Trump administration cut 4% of flights yesterday. It's cutting 6% today. Also, the DOT secretary is warning that this could, in fact, be cut down to a trickle by Thanksgiving.
Long lines on the runways and inside airport terminals this week as the government shutdown wreaks havoc on travel plans.
I was on 3 flights that all got canceled.
Adding to the chaos at Dulles Airport, this people mover collided with a concourse. 18 people transported to the hospital with injuries. Despite their frustration with delays, many passengers are sympathizing with airport workers.
It's not their fault. Our government's, they can't figure it out right now.
Air traffic controllers and TSA officers working without 2 paychecks are hurting. Even with fewer planes in the sky, ATC Union President Nick Daniels says the strain on controllers puts the public at greater risk.
This is the erosion of the safety margin the flying public never sees, but America relies on every single day.
While working without pay, some workers are turning to food banks or taking second jobs just to pay for gas, rent, and medical bills. Amy Lark and her husband, both controllers, say their family is feeling the stress after 4 missed paychecks.
It's tense. It's having conversations about how we are going to make ends meet.
One controller in Phoenix using humor to cope.
That was $37.99. You are ClearDirect to broke my current financial status.
On Truth Social, President Trump attacking air traffic controllers who did not come to work, writing, "You didn't step up to help the USA." The president yesterday saying he'd recommend a $10,000 bonus for controllers who worked during the shutdown, but asked where the money would come from.
I don't know. I'll get it from someplace.
Even if the shutdown ends by the end of the week, it may take longer for many to recover, especially new hires.
Your livable wage is already right there on the verge of not being able to make it. And now to be hit with an immediate, hey, you just got hired, but you're not getting your next 2 paychecks, it's insurmountable.
If and when the shutdown ends, it could take a few days before the system is righted again, before everything is working properly. Separately, on Fox, President Trump was asked about Ronald Reagan firing striking air traffic controllers back in 1981. President Trump said it was one of the highlights of Reagan's life. It is now illegal for controllers to go on strike. Joe and Savannah, back to you.
All right, Tom, thank you.
There are new developments this morning in the Camp Mystic tragedy out of Texas. 2 separate lawsuits have been filed by the families of some of the 27 victims who lost their lives during severe flooding on July 4th.
The suit alleges gross negligence by the camp's owners, with one suit accusing the camp's management of putting profits over safety. An attorney for the camp says there were no adequate warning systems in the area before the severe flooding. NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett has the details. Hi, Laura. Good morning.
Hey, guys. Good morning to you. The tragedy at Camp Mystic leaving some of the most searing images from those deadly floods last summer. But some of the parents of those that were killed now say the devastation was no accident, instead a self-created disaster.
More than 4 months after those devastating floods swept through central Texas, the camp where 27 young campers and counselors died now hit with scathing new civil suits. One lawsuit filed Monday by the parents of 5 campers and 2 counselors, alleging the storied Camp Mystic put profit over safety, adding its owners chose to house young girls in cabins sitting in flood-prone areas to avoid the cost of relocating the cabins. The lawsuit also outlining a disturbing timeline beginning at 1:14 a.m. on July 4th, when the National Weather Service issued a warning of life-threatening flash flooding. According to the suit, the camp's directors took no steps to protect lives, instead spending over an hour working to keep equipment dry and wrongly directing some counselors and campers to stay in their cabins, as many others ran for their lives. A separate lawsuit filed Monday by the family of 8-year-old Lulu Peck, alleging cabins sat in the bullseye of known floodwaters, and yet the camp's owners continued to play Russian roulette with the lives of the little girls. Several of the families, including 2 now suing, sat down with Jenna back in September.
This wasn't an accident. This was complacency, and it is 100% preventable.
An attorney for the camp saying in a statement overnight it intends to prove this sudden surge of floodwaters far exceeded any previous flood in the area by several magnitudes, and that no adequate warning systems existed in the area. This fall, state lawmakers passed new safety requirements for summer camps. But Camp Mystic, whose longtime executive director, Dick Eastland, also died in the flooding at the camp, has faced scrutiny after announcing plans to reopen next summer.
We are not the only ones suffering here. Yes. The children that survived, the families of the children that survived, this will impact them for the rest of their lives.
The families of the girls are now asking for more than $1 million in damages as part of these new lawsuits, citing their pain and suffering along with their funeral expenses. And one of those little girls still not recovered, guys.
Thanks, Laura. Appreciate your coverage on this.
Well, not of the death of a high school senior on board a Carnival cruise ship. The 18-year-old woman's death is now being investigated by the FBI as her family and friends share tributes online. Joining us with all the details, NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Gosk. Steph, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. You know, the circumstances surrounding Anna Kepner's death remain a mystery to the public. Meanwhile, her friends and family are remembering a young woman described as bright and kind who will be dearly missed.
This morning, a mysterious and tragic death at sea under investigation. High school senior Anna Kepner was on board the Carnival Horizon, the cruise ship making its way from the Caribbean to Florida. The medical examiner did not release a cause of death, but says the 18-year-old died at 11:17 a.m. on Friday, the day before the ship docked in Miami.
They were very specific with the time. And that part's a little peculiar. Normally they kind of put out a reference point, right, between this time and this time.
The FBI is investigating, called in because that is the agency that has jurisdiction over possible crimes at sea. While the cruise line says its focus is on supporting the family of our guest and cooperating with the FBI.
What the FBI is going to want to do here is interview anybody that would have interacted with her. Right, they're going to want to review surveillance footage to see where she was.
Meanwhile, the 18-year-old's friends and family are sharing their shock and their memories online. A staff member at the Temple Christian School in Titusville writing on Facebook, "Anna, I will deeply miss you. You are a bright, kind-hearted young woman whose presence brought warmth and energy into the classroom," sharing pictures of the straight-A student. Her grandmother apparently responding to the post. Thank you so much for letting me see these amazing pictures of my amazing granddaughter. The school gathered Monday morning, according to the school's Facebook page. Teachers and administrators writing, "The parking lot was full of so many that knew and loved her," adding, "God is close to the brokenhearted."
We reached out to the Miami-Dade medical examiner for an update, but have not heard back. You know, deaths on cruise ships happen, but they're rare, in the dozens annually. And the majority of them are people who have fallen overboard or onto lower decks. There was a death earlier this year in July, a 48-year-old of natural causes. And in that case, the FBI was also brought in. The former police chief in Miami telling us that they investigate these deaths because they want to make sure that there was no foul play. Savannah.
All right, Steph, thank you.
A major storm system is bringing wintry weather and plunging temperatures across much of the country. The brutal cold is stretching from the Midwest to Northeast, even the deep South, which could see record lows today. NBC News meteorologist Rafael Miranda. All of it. He's going to have the forecast in just a moment. But we begin with NBC News national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist, who joined us from Atlanta. Aaron, good morning.
Hey, chilly to the bone, Joe. It really is. We came out and found the Christmas decorations here at Atlantic Station. Really starting to feel a lot here. Now, the South are just not used to it cold this early in the year. We have our trusty thermometer out here with somewhere in the neighborhood of 27 degrees, something like that right now. Actually had snow flurries in Atlanta yesterday. Polar vortex dipping down. And the reality is that winter is still more than... This morning, millions of Americans are waking up to an early blast of winter. Temperatures plunging all along the East Coast, with wind chills falling into the teens and 20s. Dozens of record lows expected in the cold Pennsylvania. Treacherous driving conditions leading to this fire in Illinois.
Pretty bad accident up there.
And 118 injuries since Sunday in hard-hit.
It's always good to err on the side of caution, push the envelope.
Residents in Kenosha, Wisconsin, digging out from a blanket of snow.
How deep is that? It's got to be at least a foot.
In Chicago, some hardy runners surprised by a burst of blinding lake effect snow.
I'm hoping this isn't to show what's coming.
Arctic air also swooping far south. Warming centers opening in Alabama and Florida. The first flurries of the season in the Appalachian Mountains, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia. Snow. Even a shock for animals at Atlanta Zoo. A rare sight, goats in coats.
They look cold, so they'll kind of have a hunched back, standing on end, and so the coats help keep them warm.
App offering a first taste of the winter.
It's Atlanta. You never know what you're going to get.
And so if there's some good here, the sort of flannel lining, if you will, is that temperatures are going to start rebounding. Even this afternoon, it'll be slightly warmer than it is right now. We expect to be back above 70 degrees here in Atlanta by the weekend, Joe, and the goats at least will be able to hang up their coats for a little bit longer.
But Aaron will keep his coats, though. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Festive there, too, Aaron. Love it. All right, let's bring in meteorologist Rafael Miranda, who's tracking the coldest morning of the season so far.
Hey there, Raf. So just how cold will things get?
We're seeing wind chills in the teens and 20s right now, and it's so many millions. You can see this stretch of Arctic air all the way from the Arctic Ocean down towards Florida. Over 3,500 miles this air has traveled to arrive into the deep south this morning, and temperatures are freezing or near freezing for 182 million people on this Tuesday morning. Places like Kansas City, Jackson, Mississippi, and all the way to Tallahassee, of course, the Northeast. Many millions are dealing with a very cold start to your day as well. We have all these freeze warnings in effect for the first freeze of the season in places like Atlanta, Montgomery, Jackson, and also New York City and Long Island saw their first freezing temperatures in the past few hours. Right now, we're tracking temperatures in the mid-30s, but we have wind chills in the 20s. Places like Charleston, Jacksonville, and also Tampa. It feels like 33 degrees down in Florida. And in the Northeast, of course, that cold taking hold with wind chills in the 20s. They stay in the 20s throughout much of the day today along the I-95 corridor. It's cold out east, but out west, we have more of a September feel. You could see temperatures there well above average. The pattern overall does tend to even out and moderate over the coming days. That warmer weather spreading east as well. And as we head towards the weekend, really warming up back to the 70s in places like Virginia. Now out west, turning stormy tomorrow into Thursday. Watch out for some heavy rain and mountain snows. That could affect travel from Washington state back through central and even southern California. Rainfall on the way there. Heading into the weekend, looking good on Friday. Pretty quiet here across much of the country. Much warmer across the south. And you can see as we head into Saturday, maybe make some outdoor plans across the Northeast. Looking good. Lots of sunshine there. Out west, some heavy rain in Southern California on Saturday. And then for Sunday, we're looking at showers and storms across the south. Some showers possible in the Northeast as well on Sunday. That's going to be your indoor day. The Great Lakes dealing with some rain there as well. Next week's outlook, very different temperature-wise, warmer than average for much of the center of the country, and it does turn colder out west, where right now they are escaping this wintry grip. So big pattern change as we head into next week. But yeah, I've seen snow showers around New York City. The videos are coming in this morning. I'm excited. I love the holidays, and I love snow especially. So.
No snowmen, though, probably.
No,
right?
not with what we got this morning. Just
but we were
coding.
here at this desk watching the feed from outside. I was like, I want to be out there.
Exciting,
it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Love it so much. Thanks, Rob. There's much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including a very special edition of our series, Flipping the Script, as we honor those who served on this Veterans Day. We're sitting down with a Marine vet whose time spent in boot camp as a gay man in the 70s helped shape the critically acclaimed new Netflix series, Boots.
First, after the break, Canada no longer declared measles-free as our neighbors to the north grapple with the worst outbreak of the virus in decades. So could America be next? We'll dig into the data next.
We're back with some concerning health news out of Canada. Yesterday, the country's public health agency announced that it has lost its measles elimination status. So now it's considered endemic for the disease. That means it's an outbreak confined to a certain geographic area.
Since the outbreak started in October of last year, Canada has recorded more than 5,000 measles cases. Canada is also the first country in the Americas to lose its measles elimination status. This could be a warning sign for other countries to take note.
NBC News health and medical reporter Erica Edwards joins us now with more on this. Erica, good morning. So the measles outbreak here in the U.S., it started back in January of this year. And if the outbreaks continue through January 2026, will we lose our status of having eliminated measles 25 years ago? How do we know when something like this happens? How concerned should we be that it's happened to our north?
Hey, good morning, Savannah. So we very well could lose our measles elimination status if it's shown that the Texas outbreak that began in January has seeded other outbreaks that are now going on in Utah, Arizona, even in South Carolina. If so, that would mean that we're about to have a full year of ongoing measles spread that came from one source. And it would mean that one of the richest countries in the world with all of our resources have let a very preventable virus get out of control. Joe, Savannah.
Who decides if a country loses its measles elimination status, and walk us through how that process works?
Yeah, so the group that decides this is part of the World Health Organization. They met in Mexico City last week to look at all the measles cases across North, Central, and South America, and that's when they made the determination about Canada. I did ask the group yesterday whether they would meet again in January to discuss the U.S. outbreak. They could not confirm yet whether that's going to happen or not. Joe, Savannah.
Erica, I know you were part of an NBC News team that partnered with Stanford University, and y'all did a 6-month investigation into childhood vaccines here in the U.S., and it ultimately found that a big part of the country doesn't have the basic ground-level immunity that would be needed to stop the spread of measles. What is driving this decline in vaccination rates, and what do medical experts warn could happen if those rates don't start going back up?
You know, this trend began several decades ago, frankly, with incorrect information about the MMR vaccine, scaring parents unnecessarily. The pandemic only made things worse when it came to people not trusting vaccines. One big concern now is babies too young to be vaccinated, or other people who have underlying health conditions that mean they can't be vaccinated against measles. Those groups are particularly vulnerable. Guys?
We should go through what are the symptoms of measles, some news you can use for our viewers.
Yeah, so this normally starts out like any other bad bug you'd get, fatigue, headache, cough, runny nose, you might spike a fever. After that, the more classic measles symptoms pop up. Eyes can get red and watery, tiny white spots can appear inside the mouth, and then, very classic, the red splotchy rash that begins on your scalp, goes down, face, neck, arms, stomach, back, and on down the body. Savannah, Joe.
All right, Erica, thank you very much.
Developing news now out of Pakistan. At least a dozen people are dead after a bombing outside a court building in the country's capital city.
NBC News International correspondent Danielle Hamamdin joins us with the latest and gives us our world news in 60 seconds. Danielle, good morning.
Good morning, you guys. That's right. We begin in the capital of Pakistan, where this morning a suicide bombing left at least 12 people dead. This is according to the Interior Minister, who also told reporters at the site of the blast that the bomber tried to enter the building on foot, but then waited outside for 10 to 15 minutes before detonating the device close to a police vehicle. To France now, and you might remember the former president, Nicolas Sarkozy, being driven to prison to serve 5 years behind bars. Well, that was just 21 days ago. There he was on Monday, already back home. That's after a Paris court ruled he could be released while he appeals against his conviction for conspiring to raise funds from Libya. And finally, we're taking you to Antarctica, not for some cross-country skiing or anything that naturally involves snow, but for a clock golf tournament. 5 degrees Fahrenheit. They came from all over the world to compete using an adaptable club to hit the ball in the rugged terrain of ice and snow. That is a long way to go for some golf, you guys.
No kidding. All these people heading to Antarctica.
Does that mean it's timed, or what does that mean?
I think there are 12 holes, but I had to Google it as well, so I am not the golf expert here.
Okay, well,
12.
They look like they're having
the
fun.
clock. Huh. Interesting. All right, Danielle, thanks.
Coming up, we are marking Veterans Day here on Morning News Now with the former combat divers who are now on a different kind of mission.
When we come back, more on the incredible nonprofit that's helping vets serve and protect Mother Nature's most fragile ecosystems. We'll explain next.
We're back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with a potential lawsuit from President Trump against a major British broadcaster.
NBC News senior national politics reporter Sahil Kapoor joins us with more. Hey, Sahil, good morning.
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. We begin today in politics with President Trump threatening to sue the British broadcaster BBC for $1 billion over a documentary that showed the president on January 6, 2021, telling his supporters to fight like hell before the violence on the Capitol began. Trump's legal team accused the BBC of trying to interfere in the U.S. presidential election by failing to include the line in the speech where he said to protest peacefully. It's a familiar tactic for President Trump, using his megaphone and his wealth to go after news organizations in court. A BBC spokesperson responded that they will review his team's letter and respond directly in due course. Meanwhile, a whistleblower says Jeffrey Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell is in the process of pursuing a commutation from President Trump on her 20-year prison sentence. That's according to a whistleblower who relayed the information to House Democrats. The whistleblower also told them she's getting concierge-style preferential treatment in prison with customized meals and time to play with a puppy after she was moved to minimum security earlier this year. The White House said it doesn't comment on potential clemency requests. And in San Francisco, Christine Pelosi, the daughter of Nancy Pelosi, announced that she's running for a state Senate seat and foregoing the primary for her mother's seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. This comes days after Nancy Pelosi announced she will retire after a nearly 40-year career in Congress, which included 2 stints as Speaker of the House across 4 different presidencies. That deep blue House seat is headed toward a competitive Democratic primary. And that is a look at what's making news in politics this morning. Guys?
All right, Sahil, thank you.
Well, on this Veterans Day, we are shining a light on a remarkable organization that's working to help those who served while also trying to save the planet. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch dove in, quite literally, to learn more. Hey, Jesse, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Within the U.S. military, there are some elite teams whose service members are trained as highly specialized divers. And now an organization called Force Blue is giving these veterans a new way to embrace skills that were meant for war.
These are some of America's most skilled underwater operators who served in the Navy, Army, Marine Corps, and Air Force. Now they're on a mission once again.
What we're going to be doing is bringing corals in the baskets to a tree.
This time for Force Blue, a nonprofit co-founded by Jim Ritterhoff, which provides former combat divers from the U.S. and U.K. the chance to serve in a new way.
The reality is you can't take these special operations veterans who've operated at a tempo that is, 11 all the time. And when they get out of the military, you go, yeah, here's your cubicle. Service is paramount to everything that they do. So that's where we fit.
Instead of diving with the military, they're diving with scientists on marine conservation projects across the U.S., including sea turtle research and coral restoration.
So much of what they did overseas, they can't talk about with their families. They can't share with anybody. Now, here's a mission they can not just share with their families, but get their families involved in. That's life-changing for the guys.
To get a closer look at their work, we joined Force Blue on a mission in the Florida Keys. About 25 feet below the surface, the team assembled coral trees, a key tool in helping coral reefs bounce back.
You see an X factor with these vets.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The vets have that mindset where it is not just getting the job done, it's doing whatever you need to accomplish the goal.
A return to a mission mindset that helps the environment, but also the special operations veterans.
I've had some challenges just trying to find my footing and figure out my place in society.
Master Sergeant Zach Marchant served as a pararescueman in the Air Force for 16 years. He says since retiring in 2018, he's struggled with his mental health.
I did several operational dives over in Iraq. Convoys would be driving along canals out there, hit an ID or get ambushed on patrol or something like that, and have a soldier get hit and fall in the canal, and so we had to dive in there.
To be able to focus it on something like this, as opposed to having to search for fallen comrades.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like to be able to flip the focus?
It's nice. I mean, it's peaceful down there. You're not worried about coming up and having somebody shoot at you. So it really is. It's kind of a cathartic experience for me.
It's also a way to still use his military training.
But it also helps you realize the stuff in your past is who you are, and you need to learn to incorporate that into who you are today.
Retired Captain Jeff Drinkard dreamed of becoming an oceanographer before joining the Navy SEALs and serving for 30 years.
When you're always diving in the dark, you're always doing the what if. What if the enemy's there? Are there any bubbles? Can they see you? Are they going to see me on the beach? You always got this dark shadow over your head when you're active duty and training.
A dark shadow he later told me disappeared while working with Force Blue.
What are you feeling in this moment? Diving in the ocean, restoring reefs with fellow brothers. It's almost not fair because it just seems too good to be true.
Just a reminder of what is at stake, of course, for our service members each and every day. Force Blue says at this point they have around 65 special operations veterans involved. The group hoping to tap into a sense of wanting to be part of something that is greater than oneself and a sense of camaraderie that veterans might be thinking of when they think of their time in the service. And I have to say, having had the privilege of diving with this group, they work really fast, Savannah. It is super cool to see, and we are, of course, grateful for their service, not just to our country, but to all of planet Earth. Back to you.
Jesse, what an awesome story to share. So cool how you did it, and we're so thankful for their service. Thank you. Well, coming up, President Trump's tariff tirade has a new target this morning.
When we come back, why the White House's latest levy could have many pasta lovers saying arrivederci to their favorite Italian brands. We'll explain next.
Amore
might be on the rocks, as Americans could soon be saying arrivederci to their favorite Italian pastas. Imports from 13 Italian pasta brands, including favorites like Barilla and Rumo, are staring down a 107% tariff that could hit American shelves as early as January.
What, no eating now? Hey!
The Commerce Department alleging that Italian pasta makers are dumping products on the U.S. at less than normal value. For shoppers, that added tax could mean paying twice as much for the real deal, if the Italian companies choose to sell their pastas here at all. A Wall Street Journal report says some Italian pasta makers are preparing to pull out of U.S. supermarkets when the tariff kicks in. Some shoppers boiling over online.
We're seriously about to make it harder, near impossible, to get Italian-made pasta in America.
Some chefs already noodling over how to cope. At New York City's Casa Salvo, chef Salvo Locastro says he serves up over 200 over 100% tariff on pasta.
Yeah, it's the price of the pasta is increased 100%. The price in the restaurant is very big. I don't want to exchange the price for my guest. It's very important.
For those who can't DIY their fettuccine, Nadia Caterina Muno, better known as the Pasta Queen, says there should still be options to go store-bought.
There's going to be a lot of pasta on the market to pick from because there's so many different importers. There's not just those 13 pasta brands.
So there's still a possibility of serving up dinner without a side of sticker shock.
And now, before you go rushing to the supermarket to stock up on pasta, the Commerce Department's tariffs are preliminary. They're not final, so anything could happen here. But for consumers, we do need to remember that Barilla, for example, they do make a lot of their pasta sold here in the United States, so those would not be tariffed. Again, what we're talking about here are imported pastas. And worst comes to worst, there's also those alternatives these days, those chickpea-based, rice-based pastas, although, again, some people might say that's blasphemous, but that is an option.
They honestly aren't good. I've tried to go through on that journey, like, oh, let's pick healthier. It's bad.
I mean, the shapes look, just like rotini, but I haven't tried it.
Just like rotini. Is that your favorite?
I do like rotini a lot. I think it holds the sauce very well.
All right.
That's
I
a
like
good
the
argument.
possibilities, though.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thanks.
That's good.
Thanks, Brian and Joe. All right. Well, this Veterans Day, we are honoring the men and women who have served our country. And in Ellisville, Missouri, one 85-year-old volunteer is paying tribute to residents at a local nursing home with a tradition he started nearly 20 years ago. Reporter Mike Bush from our NBC affiliate in St. Louis has more.
At Ellisville Rehabilitation and Nursing, caregivers tend to daily needs. But one volunteer tends to lasting legacies.
I'm kind of a patriotic guy.
Inside, there's a room here that looks nothing like the rest. No monitors, no medicine, just memories. It's a shrine to service, a museum of mementos from residents past and present. And the curator is an 85-year-old Good Samaritan who simply couldn't let these stories fade away.
Because I grew up during World War II.
Bob Morris has been a volunteer here for the past 18 years.
And I hung 3 here and 3 on this side.
And he's spent a lot of time talking with residents.
And they went in together in 1946.
Many of whom are veterans.
I never had any relatives killed in the war. So when you hear stories like that, it's a love. I mean, it's a hobby. It's more than a hobby.
Morris is a Vietnam War-era Army veteran himself, an ambulance driver turned cook in the reserves. But this room, this is about honoring everyone else who wore the uniform.
He had 35 years in the Army.
He listens.
These were the veterans that lived here.
He labels, and he learns.
I didn't have to be a man to join the Coast Guard.
Lisa Elam served 6 years in the Coast Guard. When she arrived here as a resident, she noticed something was missing.
I said, where are the females?
So Bob built her a display, complete with a Coast Guard flag.
He doesn't let people know that he's actually a veteran. He just does it for us.
I'm glad I served.
Vietnam veteran Russell Kennan says this tribute is like therapy.
I've had 5 classmates that went to high school. I went to high school with that passed away there. So it's kind of weird,
For Russell, it's a reminder of sacrifice. For Bob, a reminder of why this room matters.
I've never left her upset. I mean, I always walked out of here with a smile on my face.
As a veteran, it brings tears to my eyes.
Because in this room, the past isn't forgotten. It's framed, polished, and saluted.
You're welcome, kid. Thanks for coming down.
Bob Morris reminding us
you're welcome, bud.
That the truest form of gratitude isn't saying thank you for your service. It's making sure that service is never forgotten.
Oh, no kidding. Our thanks to Mike Bush for that report. Incredible. Well, coming up, we've got another Veterans Day tribute with a very special edition of our series, Flipping the Script.
After the break, I'm going to chat with Greg Cope White, a Marine veteran whose experiences as a gay recruit entering boot camp in the 70s helped shape a new Netflix series called Boots. Joins us live next on what it means to share his story. Stay with us. This is Morning News Now. We end this hour with a special Veterans Day edition of Flipping the Script, featuring people on screen, on stage, and behind the scenes, shining a spotlight on diversity. Enter Greg Cope White, a Marine veteran who spent 6 years serving our country before becoming an author and TV and film writer. His 2015 memoir, The Pink Marine, details his time in the Corps. He entered boot camp in 1979 when it was illegal to be gay in the military. The Pink Marine inspired the hit Netflix show Boots, which follows a group of recruits as they navigate the emotional, physical, and mental challenges that come with serving. The show is set in the early 90s, and we are honored to have Greg Cope White with us this morning to talk about both the book and the show and his experience. Greg, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you to you for your service. Any message you have for fellow service members and veterans out there on this Vets Day?
Thank you for having me. It's really great to be here speaking with you. Everybody, just remember to take this opportunity to maybe share your story. Talk to people, your family and friends might have questions or want to know. And just remember all the hilarious and funny moments you had and celebrate those, as well as the heartfelt reasons behind our enlistments.
You certainly shared your story. So the book is called The Pink Marine, came out 10 years ago. That's a traditional memoir. The show Boots features a trainee who's named Cope, plus several other recruits' perspectives. I think the beauty of the show is that it accurately reflects your challenging experience as a closeted gay service member, which I know means a lot to the LGBTQ plus community, but it also does paint an overall positive picture of Marine training and boot camp, which I think means a lot to the military community. Talk about how you wanted to tackle this show and the message that you wanted to put out there with it.
You know, you hit the nail right on the head. This is a chance to celebrate everybody that has made this decision. And we get to look at all of the different recruit lives that we build up in the writer's room. The book is my memoir, as you said, about me and my best friend going in. And the Marine Corps took a chance on me and changed my life. And even though there are some negative aspects about all that, there's still so much positive. And the most positive thing is learning where my place was in the world. So when you go into the show, you get a chance to fall in love with so many different characters that are all on different paths.
What's some of the reaction you've heard to the show?
That has been the one thing that I couldn't have anticipated from this whole process, from writing the book to getting it in onto television, is the feedback. It's wonderful to hear. I'm getting responses from people that served at this same time in secret as well, but I'm also getting so many responses from straight people that served, that are sharing their experiences and how much they feel seen. It makes us all so happy that so many people are feeling seen.
In the show, there's a line about boot camp being, quote, the machine that makes men. And the show opens by questioning kind of what it means to be a man. That's a thread that runs through the entire series. Talk about what that transformation was like for you.
That's sort of the thesis of the book. I didn't know where my place was in the masculine world. I knew that I was gay early on. That's not the battle I was there to conquer. I was wondering where my place was in that world, because society was telling me that there wasn't a place for me, that my human nature was wrong. So I went in there and found out that everybody's definition of masculinity is different, and the spectrum is as wide as you can imagine. I had to learn that in order to gain respect from others, I had to respect myself first.
It was 1979. Were you scared? outed at that time?
Every day, every moment, it was a constant reminder. Every time that I got better at something, for the first time in my life, I was being told I was good at something, whether it was running or shooting the rifle or whatever that was. I was doing everything that they asked me to do. The pull-up scene that you saw, I never imagined I could do one pull-up, and then to go in and do 20 and score the maximum on the physical fitness test. I was as shocked as anybody else. So that's the thing. It's the transformation is amazing, and it's open to everybody.
I do have to ask you, the Pentagon put out a statement that called the show, quote, woke garbage. It's unclear if they actually watched the show at all. I mean, when you saw, because again, it's a reflection of your real life experience, the real life experience of so many people over decades. What was your reaction when you heard that?
I was surprised, and I hope they are watching the show because, like I said, we do this amazing opportunity to tell lots of stories. So it's well known that my book and the show are love letters to the Marine Corps.
This was Norman Lear's final project. He also served in the military. He's someone you didn't just work with on this. He's someone who was a huge part of your life and your career. Talk about what it was like working with Norman Lear, and also just how much it means to have worked on this with him and have this be his final project.
I can't answer this question. He was such a hero, not just to me, but to so many people in the world through his television shows and his activism. So working with him was just like you would imagine. You are seated at the foot of a genius and a master. He taught me so much about storytelling, and also he taught me what it was like to be an American. He's got this terrific organization, People for the American Way, and that raised my own citizenship and patriotism. As well as my time in the military. Norman told stories of other. So to be one of his stories that celebrates other is just an honor that I can't believe I get to carry. And for the rest of my life, I hope to do him proud.
David Cope White, thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank you for your service and for sharing your story. All 8 episodes of the series Boots are currently streaming on Netflix. And his book, The Pink Marine, is widely available at most booksellers. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.